Hello everybody, how are we all doing? In this video, I will be talking about why forcing rational thinking in the heat of the moment becomes a very compulsive problem. So when you are triggered and when all the anxiety symptoms are pumping away and you're in that heightened triggered state, it's very easy to then force rational statements and to say acceptance, compassion, acceptance. That ain't gonna work. That isn't gonna work. And what I always say to people is that you're playing the right card, but at the wrong time. Okay, so the aim on this recovery journey is to become more rational, is to understand the concepts of unconditional self, life, and other acceptance through reading, through written belief work, disputation on paper, with the help of your coach, breaking the fears down and just trying to change your perspectives on what you're scared of so OCD loosens its grip. That's the aim philosophically. But it is not designed for a heightened, triggered state when you're embroiled in all these different emotions pumping away. It's not designed for that, because when you're just telling yourself rational statements, I could accept myself even if this were true, or even if that did happen, I could learn to accept that, I could adjust to it, I could come to terms with it, I could adapt to any life circumstance, I could see how I could, with time, have compassion for myself. Whilst that is very valid points, and whilst you would dispute along those lines, wouldn't you, on paper, when it's being done in the moment, the intention is all wrong. Okay, hence why the saying that I say is that you are playing the right card, but just at the wrong time. Okay, it's much better than giving yourself reassurance. So like, oh, you're not a bad person, you're the last person to do this, it's just your OCD, you're not your thoughts, blah, 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 blah. That's the ultimate worst, because that's reassurance and obviously at the wrong time, but there is no right time for that. With rational thinking, it's good that it's rational thinking, but it's at the wrong time because the intention's all wrong. Okay, so you want to be trying to think rationally and applying unconditional acceptance and trying to be more flexible in your thinking to be less rigid. Yes, but we do that on paper. We do that, we take our time, we take days, weeks, months, years breaking that down with consistent, persistent written work, pen to paper, reading again and again and again. That's how that gradually goes in. It's not designed for when you're triggered, remind yourself of the rational shit. What's the rational? That ain't gonna work. That ain't gonna work. And the reason that's compulsive is because the intention is to get relief. The intention is to get rid of an unwanted emotion, an uncomfortable feeling, and it's to obtain relief. It's to get rid of that sensation that you do not like and therefore get temporary relief, which by definition is the compulsion. Okay? So, when we are triggered and when we are in that heightened anxiety state, all you can do is wear the discomfort as best as you possibly can, giving yourself some compassion along the way. Don't remind yourself, accept compassion, accept no, but as you learn to wear that, over time, on paper, that compassion comes in. I'm going through a lot. OCD is a very difficult disorder to be going through. Now have compassion for yourself for dealing with such a disorder. But in the moment, when you are triggered, when your back is against the wall, when it's life and death, when it's fight or flight in your mind, all you can do is wear it as best as you can and do your absolute utmost to resist compulsions. That's all that one can do. Healthy distractions are helpful also. Okay? But there is nothing that you can say to yourself in that moment that makes it go away. Okay? We are not miracle workers. We can't just say this, say that, then OCD's gone. No. And I see this a lot. I get asked this question a lot. People will say, Sam, I've had 3 sessions with you and I'm understanding rational thinking by reading the books on the reading list. I watch your YouTube videos. I have these calls. But why am I still getting triggered? Why am I still anxious? And I say that is because you are trying to force your rational thinking in the moment, plus you are completely misjudging how long it can take to get better. Okay? OCD is a very stubborn disorder. It's relentless, it's resilient, it doesn't back down. It won't budge very easily. It takes years of work. You can make progress within months, 6 months, 9 months to a year. You can make progress. You can make noticeable progress where your life looks very different and you notice yourself in a more stable, better mental place. That can happen. It really can. But you cannot expect to get better and stay better in a short period of time. It cannot be rushed. You cannot accelerate recovery. Okay? And people will try and do that because they'll, understandably so, I get it. You know, people, you don't want to feel like shit, obviously, right? OCD suffering is not easy. So you think, well, okay, the key is rational thinking. Rational. I'm sorry, but when you're triggered, and you will be very triggered on this journey because OCD is very difficult and it's crafty. It's super crafty. It weaves in and out of different fears. It morphs, it changes, it switches up, it moves the goalposts. It makes something feel real, it heightens up the realness factor. It will convince you that this one isn't OCD, but this one is actually different. It's very, very clever. So just to combat it with rational thinking in the moment, that ain't gonna work. I'm sorry, that ain't gonna work, okay? The only way that you can deal with it in that heightened state of anxiety is you zip up that uncomfortable coat, you put it on, and you wear it, and you bring it all for the ride, and you allow it all to be there. Okay, we embrace all that discomfort whilst trying your absolute best, as if your life depends on it, to resist those relief-seeking, certainty-seeking, control craving or comfort craving behaviors. We have to try and resist that, okay? And you can try and distract yourself in a healthy way. You can, but remember, you can't out-distract OCD. There's no hiding place at times. You can't just distract yourself, and then OCD goes. They help, trust me, healthy distractions are crucial, such as exercising, getting absorbed by some kind of hobby, passion, interest of yours. I think you can really use that to your advantage for sure. But please remember that when OCD is locked on, and when it's chronic, and when it's severe, there's no quick fix. There's no just think rationally in the moment and it's gone. Okay? Because rational thinking and unconditional acceptance to the majority, I was going to say everyone, but I would certainly say to the majority of people, is foreign. It's alien, right? Because not many people think rationally. Not many people tend to think in an unconditional accepting way or a compassionate way. It doesn't tend to happen. So when you're learning the tools to help you along the journey and to help OCD back down and give it that less power and that less oomph that it currently hits you with, that's going to take a lot of time. That's going to take a lot of time, as it did with me, as it did with all the coaches here. Okay? And it couldn't be sped up. No matter how I felt in the moment, if I was triggered or not, I couldn't then just go rational. On paper, I could, but that was a structured approach. So I was disputing in a structured manner. So whether I was triggered or not, I was saying, if I can do 15 to 30 minutes a day, or is tailored for each person. Me personally, I did sort of 2 weeks on, a week off, 2 weeks on, a week off. And then when I was disputing, I'd be doing 15 to 30 minutes a day, get home from work, and I would just go, right, I'm going to break down one of these fears. I'm going to find an irrational belief, and I'm going to break down, can I really not stand it? Is it really the worst thing in the world? Where is the evidence to support my irrational demands here? Let's break down some worst case scenarios. But I took my time with it, you see. I saw it as a project. I saw it as something that comes together over time, not something that can just be applied in the moment. But you're not alone with then taking what you're learning on paper and then applying it in the moment. Everybody does that because they think, oh, okay, this makes sense. I like this is good. And then triggered, fuck, I'm triggered. Rational, also rational. No, I understand why people do that, because I did it myself, right? But the hard realization is that when you are triggered, it is a case of how do I wear it as best as I can, and keep trying to get through it one step at a time, guys. 1 minute, 1 hour, 1 day at a time. The rational thinking and the unconditional acceptance and all the belief written work, the intellectual, philosophical work on paper with the reading, pen to actual paper, that sinks in over time. Over time. And the other problem with disputing and rational thinking in the moment, in the heat of the trigger, is that you can often veer off into the reassurance territory. And you can often go down the path of, it started off rational, but then it's still relief seeking and it's still certainty chasing. And then that can often lead to, oh, but you're not a bad person, and you're trying to sort of prove good and bad people in your mind. And oh, but there's no such and then it becomes like a compulsive mess for relief. And this is why I will say, you want to try and refrain from that internal chatter, that internal dialogue, that internal chase in your mind, or that chat that you've got, and the rumination and the solving and the replaying and the analysing. Yes, a lot of it's automatic for sure. But in one-to-one calls, we take a look at your particular situation, okay? In YouTube videos, you'll think I'm speaking to the general audience, right? But in one-to-one videos, in one-to-one calls, I'll be speaking to you where you'll be telling me your situation, and I would say, well, how are you solving? What are you telling yourself? What are you then saying to yourself? And that is when I'll pick up and say, okay, but what you're saying there is very rational, but you're playing that card at the wrong time, aren't you? Because you're combating, shall we say, you're combating your trigger with a rational statement, with a rational philosophy, a rational answer, but you're using that card at the wrong time because you're using it in the heat of the moment to get relief. It's not what it's designed to do. That rational answer that you had, that's designed to be written on paper another time when you're not triggered, when those symptoms aren't as high. That's designed to be written down. You go deeper and deeper and deeper with your disputing work, and then that starts sinking in as we bring these compulsions down and ultimately build our tolerance to discomfort, to frustration, to all the triggered state of emotion and so on. Okay, and then as a byproduct, and the more you do that, then the triggers have less grip, they become more powerless, and then you start to make long-term progress. But it's not designed for in-the-moment heightened relief of emotion, I'm afraid. That's not what rational thinking is for. Okay, and it's important to remember that. It really, really is, because I fell for that trap. I thought that, if I just tell myself this acceptance, there's none of that. Me being recovered, I'm not going accept, Sam, remember, acceptance, accept it. No, is a state of being. I embody unconditional self-acceptance. I have to remind myself it. If I'm watching the news, I may have to practice it, but that's not because I have to, as in like, oh God, I need to sharpen my acceptance. It just happens, I practice acceptance in that moment because it's there. I practice compassion. I understand all that. I don't have to, I liken it to when I speak English, right? I don't have to go, right, English, speak English, Sam, speak English, right, come on, Sam, speak English. It just happens. You just naturally speak it fluently. It just comes out, doesn't it? It's just how I think. I think in English, I speak in English. Everything is in English for me, right? And acceptance is like that. I can apply acceptance very naturally because I've taught myself to do that with the guidance of the books, with Rob, disputing work and so on. So it's become natural. Okay, so if I was triggered for whatever reason, I wouldn't be going, right, accept, oh my God, accept. No, that wouldn't work. I'd have to just ride it out, wear it as best as I could. Healthy distractions are key, and just try and get through that day as best as I can as the symptoms start to phase out. And if it really latched on hard, I could take a look at the beliefs on paper, but ultimately it's a case of wearing the symptoms as best as you can and allow OCD to catch you off guard. Stop trying to suppress it, stop trying to bolt it down, stop trying to trap it, because trapping OCD, trying to stop OCD from triggering you, is like trying to catch a spider that's constantly moving away, and you keep running after this spider, and you go to trap it somewhere, and it keeps moving, it keeps going over up the walls and under the carpets and under the sofa and under the TV. Oh, for God's sake, I can't get this bloody spider. That's what OCD is a bit like. It's running rings around you. It's completely mocking you. It's taking the piss, as we would say here in the UK, right? So something to really think about. Are you applying rational thinking at the wrong moment? Just going to leave you on the saying. You're playing the right card, but at the wrong time. Okay? Save the rational thinking to on paper when you're not in that heightened emotional state. Okay? You're going to have to wear it, guys, as best as you can. I know it's hard. I've got so much sympathy, got so much compassion. OCD suffering is so hard. I'm aware of that. Okay? But it has to be worn as best as we can and see it as a tolerance building exercise. Guys, take care. If you are interested in one-to-one calls, please email phil@ocdrecovery.com. My name is Sam. You have Rob, Nick, Mom and Gemma and Elliot all doing coaching calls, and we can book you in as soon as we possibly can, and we can talk about how you are using your rational thinking in the wrong time. Guys, take care, look after yourself, and we'll speak again. Bye-bye.